Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Retro and welcome to the first episode of Dr. Retro Reads Retro. Because in cooperation with the guys from dr.retro.com, I can proudly show you the new retro game video magazine, and I will show you each new issue that comes out in a quick scroll through. So as you can see here, there's issue number 2 and issue number 3, and the left one, issue number 2, is a regular issue that focuses on all sorts of video games, and the right one is an issue that focuses solely on RPGs. And I'm a big RPG fan, so I really love that issue. So let's get to issue number 2 and show you guys what's in this new retro video game magazine. The first thing you notice when you see this magazine is that it has a very colorful design, and it has some interesting topics. So River City Ransom Underground, the revival of that old school game, details about Toe Jam and Earl, the Dreamcast version that never came out, Ape's Odyssey, a new game, and also here, which I found really interesting, a piece about Dracula X Rondo of Blood, the Castlevania game that only got released on the TurboGrafx or the PC Engine. So let's take a quick scroll through here. The good thing is also there's a lot of focus on different sides of retro gaming. So it's not just gaming, but it's also collecting and also new gaming that has a retro side to it. So this is your inventory, your reader mail, and some technical questions that you can answer, and also a part about gamer spots, so where you can buy games or go play games, arcades that are nearby. These are all in America, by the way, so for us Europeans that's not very useful, but I'm sure there will be European stuff as well. Game Gavel, a very cool eBay-like game site that only focuses on video games, has a couple of articles here that they feature, and there's some really interesting stuff in there. And the articles are very interesting if you're a video game collector, but also a video game enthusiast like me. I'm not a big Dreamcast collector, but it's really cool to see how the Toe Jam and Earl beta for Part 3 was discovered on a development kit. And that's a game that never got released in that format. So here's some interesting things about artwork on video games. Balls of Steel, so pinball as well. Not just video games, but also pinball and arcade. Swag bag, that's all sorts of new stuff that you can buy that has a retro feel to it. And if you want to subscribe to this magazine, I have a really cool offer for you guys, because I can give you a promotion code that will give you 6 issues, both digital and print, for only $27.99 a year. And it's a magazine that gets released bi-monthly, so once every 2 months, so that's 6 issues a year. And if you're interested in that, the details will be in the caption here below the video, and you can go to readretro.com/subscribe and use the code IHeartRetro, and heart you type it out. So here's an article about your modern annoyances that weren't in retro video games, and I can totally agree on that, because as for instance here, startup adverts. When I start a new game on my PlayStation 3, it takes a long time to load all sorts of intros, etc. With the SNES game, it was just Capcom, Super Nintendo, and bam, you were going. No online gameplay, which is of course a good thing, because I hate all those kids yelling in my ear. Here you have an article about River City Ransom, the revival version. It was a really awkward game, or a strange game, didn't have anything like it. It's a beat 'em up with RPG elements, and there's going to be a new version about that. Then we have Crush Deluxe. This is all about the art of Atari video games, which on some boxes has amazing art and others look horrible in my opinion, especially the sports games. But I'm a bit too young to be nostalgic about that. An article about wrestling video games, also not my kind of thing, never really played them. Oddworld, the new and tasty. It's a new game in the Oddworld series. This is a game that really piqued my interest. It's called Cuphead, and it's, yeah, like the title says, a shoot 'em up, a fighter, and a 30s cartoon combined. And if you look at the gameplay shots here, these just look amazing. It's like an old school Mickey Mouse cartoon come to life. So I'm really looking forward to that game. Let's see what else we have. Some Kickstarter games here that you can vouch for if you're interested in that. Broken Age, the game by Tim Schafer, the new game. Bubble Bobble, The Lost Cave. Bubble Bobble was one of my favorite games as a kid. I never managed to finish it though. The last level was really too hard. But still, it holds a lot of nostalgic value to me. Here's some reviews on other retro games that you might know or might know nothing about. And some re-releases of old games like the 3D Sonic the Hedgehog. And old stuff like Colibri there in the top left, which is one of the rarest 32X games. And I'm lucky to have that in my collection. And this is one of the coolest parts for me as a collector. This is a subsection that talks about people's collections and the cool stuff they have. And the collection of these guys, the Video Game History Museum, yeah, well, the name it says it already, but these guys have an amazing collection of stuff and really unique and one-of-a-kind stuff. Then this is, even for me as a quite experienced collector, this is still very interesting. It's a part about video game collecting. Every issue has a different focus, and this issue focuses on SNES collecting and talks about what games are hard to get, why are they valuable, how valuable are they, and what games are up and coming. So it's very, very educational for me as well. This issue is about Super Nintendo, the next issue is about Sega. Then there's also a report about one rare game, why it's rare, if it's worth getting, how much you should pay for it, etc. And this one is about Rondo of Blood. It's one of the few Castlevania games that I don't have in my collection, and I'm really looking forward to get that one and actually play it. Then a review on NES Remix. These are columns, personal opinions about retro video games and the retro world, and very interesting as well. Why beat 'em ups were better in 2D? Well, you can think of a lot of things probably, because I can only think of good beat 'em ups in 2D, no 3D good beat 'em ups. And there's a comic at the end. So that's the first issue, or actually the first issue I'm showing you guys, but the second issue that got released. And the third issue was all about RPGs, so let's get to that one. This is the RPG issue, and let me tell you, I read it front to back to front, and front to back again, because this was amazing. This is such a good issue. You can order back issues, by the way, the issues that you missed, and get this one. If you're an RPG fan like I am, get this one, because it has so many cool articles about games that I played or didn't play and still want to play. It's definitely worth having. So it's your general stuff again at the start, questions from readers, some technical stuff, pinball stuff, arcade stuff, and some very cool auctions at Game Gavel again. And let me show you this one. This one is about Akalabeth, the World of Doom, which is also known as Ultima Zero, because this one was made by Lord British before he started with the Ultima series. And this is one of the holy grails, if not the holy grail of PC video game collecting, and it's something I don't have yet, and I also think I will never have, but who knows, I thought that about many other games as well that I now have in my collection. So this is why retro RPGs are better than the real world, 5 points. And yeah, I kind of agree on most of those, because I'm a retro RPG fan and not a big fan of those new RPGs like Mass Effect, etc. Although I did really love Dragon Age and Skyrim. This is an article about Lightning, Final Fantasy 13 Lightning Returns, and Bravely Default, which I haven't played yet, and Bravely Default is definitely on my go-to list. And then this is a very, very interesting article in an interview with Richard Garriott, also known as Lord British, the guy that, Ultima. He is Ultima. He made the Ultima games, and he had a really, really big impact on the video game industry. And then this is just pure gold. Just look at, just the artwork makes me happy just watching this. The best RPG ever, in my opinion, and one of the best games ever. And this article touches on all those points that I agree with, why this is such a good game. And I just loved reading this, and makes me want to play the game again for like the 15th time. And then a really interesting article about Panzer Dragoon Saga. It's a rare RPG for the Sega Saturn that I have in my collection but haven't played yet. And reading this makes me want to grab my Saturn and start playing it. And then there's also, which is the good thing about this issue, is that there's a lot of small reviews of RPGs that make you want to, that's not my kind of RPG, or yeah, this is definitely something I want to try out. Like Secret of Mana, Shadowrun here. Here's 4 more, including Star Wars Knight of the Old Republic. Here's Etrian Odyssey on the DS, which is definitely something I want to try out. And here's a whole piece about Hyper Light Drifter, which is a new RPG with a retro feel to it. And that looks very interesting as well. Same goes for Wasteland, which is a follow-up on the, I believe, 1988 classic Wasteland, which was kind of the first post-apocalyptic RPG. Kind of started the Fallout series, or that was what Fallout was inspired on. You Are Not the Hero, an RPG with a really special take on things where you're not the guy that's supposed to save the world. Then something that made me very, very happy, learning that Pierre Solar is coming out on PS3, which makes me leave my Mega Drive copy sealed, so I can play that on my PS3. Here are some other new RPGs coming out, remake of Shadowgate and Lysa. Article about the South Park game, which I already wanted to play, but now that I've read this, makes me want to play it even more. Same goes with Bravely Default. And also Cthulhu Saves the World sounds really interesting to me. And Saturday Morning RPG, which sounds like a lot of fun, even though it doesn't have a long playtime. Yeah, like I said, all these small reviews of RPGs that I have or haven't played, but most of them are in my collection, but I haven't had time to get to them yet. And this kind of rearranges the order of which I want to play them in. And like I said before, if you want to subscribe to this awesome magazine, go to readretro.com/subscribe, fill in what you want, and use the code IHeartRetro, so IHeartRetro, and you'll have a whole year, 6 issues, print and digital, for $27.99. This is about an article about a guy's collection, which is, yeah, I think insane is not even the correct word. There's something beyond insane that I can't think a word of, but he has over 10,000 square feet of arcades and pinball machines. That is massive, and just reading this makes me want to go there. Looks really, really, really cool. Like I said, last issue had something about SNES collecting, and this issue has something about Sega Genesis collecting, which also is very educational. This is a very nice part about how to get RPGs for your collection, how to get them cheap, and what to do and what not to do. Especially pay attention to remakes and falses, copies, etc. Then the rarity report about one of the rarest, or at least one of the most valuable PlayStation 1 games, Suikoden 2. Personally not my type of RPG, but definitely as a collector a must-have. The story about Dragon Warrior on the NES, why it's so damn common, and a really interesting or fun article about treasure chests. How do they end up in games? Who sells those treasure chests? Why can I never find a vendor that has treasure chests for sale, because they're so abundant? Also something that, yeah, interesting, maybe even sad. These Final Fantasy games, like Final Fantasy VI, gives you 47 minutes of, yeah, bullshit might not be the right word, but 47 minutes until you're actually playing. And I remember playing Final Fantasy Tactics and waiting a long, long time. One of the worst with this is not a Final Fantasy game, but Okami. Also has a 20-minute plus intro, which takes way too long before you can get into the game. So that was the 3rd issue of Retro, and like I said, I really, really enjoy reading this, and I can only recommend these for you as a retro video gamer and as a retro video game collector. So next month, the next issue, and hope you liked watching this. If you did, feel free to subscribe, and if you need more information on how to subscribe to this magazine, feel free to contact me. Bye bye.